So, folks, when you look around today's world at old monuments and statues, there is a lot of symbolism that is overlooked, such as with an obelisk or pyramid. There are humanoid statues, totems that tell a story or represent someone famous, whether that's someone from ancient to modern history, as well as figures from folklore and mythology. Now, sometimes we come across something that is just straight up creepy, that usually comes with some type of occult or demonic symbolism. Now, something is up with Switzerland. I don't know what it is about this place, but we've seen the Gotthard tunnel-based demonic ceremony. CERN is located there, of course. Right next door you have Germany, where you have the Krampus legends, and here we are again with another example of the preservation of evil. Kindle Fresserbrunnen, the ogre fountain. It goes by another name, which you could probably guess just by looking at the sculpture. I believe it is important to understand these things so that we know what we are looking at when we come across similar objects. You know, there are several people who have theories about what this statue is supposed to be. I mean, isn't it obvious? Why is it a mystery? Why are they letting people come up with their own narratives instead of just telling them what it is? I'll tell you why. Because the truth is horrifying. And this is the propagation and normalization of evil. Now, understand that Wikipedia is not a very good source for the truth, but I just want to show you what is written here about the ogre fountain. The fountain sculpture depicts a seated ogre devouring a naked child. Placed at his side is a bag containing more children. Because the ogre is wearing a pointed hat resembling a Jewish one, it has been speculated about the possibility of the ogre being the depiction of a Jew as an expression of blood libel against Jews. Another theory is that the statue is the likeness of Krampus, the beast-like creature from the folklore of alpine countries thought to punish children during the Christmas season who had misbehaved. According to other theories, it is a depiction of the Greek god Kronos eating his children, or the Roman Saturn eating the months. Though Kronos should have 6 and Saturn 12 rather than the sculpture's 8, it may also represent a warning to children to avoid falling into, at the time, nearby bear pits. Another theory is that it represented Cardinal Schinner, who led the Swiss Confederation into several bloody defeats in northern Italy. An alternative theory is that it is a depiction of the older brother of Duke Berchtold, founder of Bern, who it is claimed was so incensed by his younger brother's overshadowing of him that he collected and ate the town's children, but such an incident is not recorded in Bern's history books. A final theory is that it is just a carnival character intended to frighten disobedient children. So to sum this all up, this is an idolized child eater, and by leaving it up, I consider that to be worship. Why else would they leave it up? To preserve history? A history of a bunch of theories? Come on, everybody. Come around and see the eater, everybody. We don't really know what it is, but we're going to keep it up for reasons. You know how they mention kids falling into bear pits? I found that very interesting because look at what this thing is wearing. It reminds me of what the gummy bears wore. And at the base of this thing are a bunch of bears. And for those who have seen the gummy bears, what were the enemies of the gummy bears? Ogres. Gummy bears are German, created by Hans Riegel, and these statues were created by another Hans and another Hans. You can't make this stuff up, folks. So this fountain is located in Bern, Switzerland, right smack in the middle of downtown or the inner city. It's the centerpiece, surrounded by several other statues and fountains. This is Rifley Brunnen, the shooter Rifley, accompanied by Little Bear. I'm probably going to mispronounce some of these, so forgive me if I do. Down the street you have this Pfeiffer Brunnen, the bagpiper with a bunch of little kids running around him. A little further towards the center of town you have Schützenbrunnen. Then you have the Ogre Fountain in the center, and on the other side of town you have Zauringerbrunnen, a bear with a helmet and two swords. Between its legs is a bear cub eating a grape. You know who used to eat grapes? Bacchus. Go research Bacchus, the god of the Baccharie. Werner Brunnen with the bear flag. These bears are just representations of the beast in general, like a mascot. They're just using a bear here due to the city's history. Like no other place in the world has bears. They even have a Moses Brunnen, Moses with horns. Some say they are rays of light. Yeah, okay. They are positioned like horns nevertheless. Moses showing some leg. I don't know why he's showing leg. Good Lord. This is the fanciest Moses I've ever seen. By the way, you notice all of these statues are on top of Roman columns. Or should I say Egyptian? The Egyptian columns actually look like the older version of the Greco-Roman columns. Anyway, Gerechtigkeitsbrunnen, the Lady Justice statue. Look, there the column is straight up Egyptian. You can tell by the feathering. So you have a lot of these fountains, and the one in the middle happens to be the creepiest. By the way, these statues have been moved around the city over time. Now, I was not able to find much on the sculpture, Hans Gein, but he was part of the Traders Guild of the 16th century, a guild of artists and craftsmen, you know, like the Freemasons back then. This is Simsonbrunnen, or Samson with the lion. He once did a sculpture of John the Baptist's head on a plate. A gruesome display, to say the least. So let's take a look at this sculpture, the Ogre Fountain, as there are a few things I would like to point out. At the top, we have this hat. And there is a lot of symbolism with these sculptures, as you have probably noticed. The hat, it's an elf hat, a men's nightcap, kind of like a Santa hat. In origin, this hat looks like a Phrygian hat that were used to identify barbarians or Jews during the Roman Empire, called a pileus cornutus. Interesting, right? Now, Hans was obviously following Krampus' lore, but Krampus is a half goat. Well, looky here. Goat heads. At the base, you have some bear people with Red Cross symbols. What are these? The bears of the Knights Templar? The cross, of course. This is the Swiss cross. You guys know that there is an obelisk in this area? Several. And the all-seeing eye on that roof behind the statue. You've got 3-star, 4-star hotels at least a block away from each of these statues, and we all know what happens at hotels. Well, some of us. It attracts tourists. Yeah, but it attracts mostly creeps. Creeps who are into what this ogre is into. They keep saying that this is an ogre. Does that look like an ogre to you? Because it's not. It's a man. And I'm guessing This is someone famous who once existed. Of course, I'm speculating. Call it a feeling. The bottom line here, folks, is do I really have to know the history of this thing? How many of you would like to have this in your house? On the front lawn, maybe. Yeah, that's a good idea, lady. Let your kid play in the water below the statue of a guy eating a kid. You know what? Let's take a look quickly at the... Oh, look, we have a McDonald's here. Spaghetti Factory, Versa Takeout, Restaurant Anchor, Cuba Bar Burn. Okay. So you got a lot of places to eat right around the Child Eater. There are a lot of outdoor eating areas around here. The Cornhouse Forum. This is the building that has the seeing eye above it. It's actually a museum where they have several exhibitions. One of them was a Holocaust exhibition right in front of the Child Eater, which has a hat that was forced upon Jews to wear. And, of course, it's only about 2 hours, maybe less than 2 hours from CERN. Secret organizations love to use landmarks or markers so members can locate secret locations where they can do their dirt. Well, I think I'm done here, ladies and gentlemen. Yep. You can dig further into this if you'd like. You know, I really hope people wake up sooner than later. We have to really start standing up for one another instead of just walking by those being devoured. There is much more madness to come, and some good stuff too. But until next time, everyone, please stay awake, stay aware, stay safe, and I'll talk to you all soon.